Tensions are rising in South America. Throughout the 2020s so far, you'd be forgiven for thinking the continent was a rare island of peace in a world increasingly full of conflict. The decade has already witnessed the ongoing war in Ukraine, Israel's wars against Hamas, Iran, Hezbollah, and the Houthis in Yemen, a dangerous spat between India and Pakistan, the ongoing civil war in Sudan, a string of coups and terrorist insurgencies in the Sahel, and even a flare-up between Thailand and Cambodia. However, all of these conflicts have been far across the oceans from South America. Now we could be rapidly heading towards conflict at the roof of the continent. Last week, Donald Trump dispatched a serious naval fleet to Venezuelan waters, and Venezuela responded by mobilizing its military in an equally serious manner. Let's take a closer look at what's going on and whether another war is around the corner, this time right in the US's backyard. On August 20th, the White House announced that it was sending 3 Aegis-guided missile destroyers to the waters off Venezuela as part of President Donald Trump's effort to combat threats from Latin American drug cartels. The USS Gravely, the USS Jason Dunham, and the USS Sampson, along with some 4,000 personnel, were expected to arrive within a few days, although whether they're actually in the region yet is unclear. A week later, on August 27th, a US source speaking on condition of anonymity told AFP that President Donald Trump will be sending 2 more ships, the guided missile cruiser USS Lake Erie and the nuclear-powered fast attack submarine USS Newport News, to the Caribbean the following week. The contingent will also reportedly include at least 1 Boeing P-8A Poseidon spy plane. The P-8 is a maritime patrol aircraft, not primarily a spy plane, but it is capable of a myriad of surveillance tasks. The news of these deployments took many by surprise, but recent events have definitely suggested that a major escalation between Trump and the Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro was brewing. It'd be an understatement to say that Maduro is not one of Trump's favorite people and vice versa, and the enmity between the two dates back to Trump's first presidential term from 2017 to 2020, which is precisely the time period to which the roots of the current escalation can be traced. In 2020, Maduro and 14 others, including several close allies, were hit with federal charges of narco-terrorism and conspiracy with the Colombian FARC insurgent group to import cocaine into the US. For more than 20 years, Maduro and a number of high-ranking colleagues allegedly conspired with the FARC, causing tons of cocaine to enter and devastate American communities, then US Attorney General William P. Barr said at the time. Originally, the US offered a $15 million reward for Maduro's arrest, a bounty that was later bumped up to $25 million. Earlier this month, the Justice Department announced that it was increasing the reward to $50 million. That follows the designation in February of the notorious Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua as a terrorist organization, alongside the Salvadorian MS-13 gang and 6 groups from Mexico. Both of these events signaled that Trump was gearing up for more serious action against Maduro. Interestingly, in mid-August, 2 South American nations announced that they were also designating a Venezuelan drug cartel as a terrorist organization. By August 21st, both Paraguay and Ecuador declared the Cartel of the Suns as an international terrorist organization, opening the door to military and intelligence operations against the narco networks affiliated with the Chavista regime's criminal apparatus inside the country. Maduro is accused of being one of the leaders of the cartel's Suns, along with other high-ranking political and military figures. The name of the cartel actually derives from the sun insignia sported by Venezuelan generals, underlying how heavily top military figures are involved in its leadership and activities. This shadowy group has been listed as one of the main cartels whose drug smuggling activities the US fleet has been sent to Venezuela to combat. So perhaps it's just a coincidence that Paraguay and Ecuador designated the cartel as a terrorist organization just days before Trump sent warships to Venezuela to combat it. Or maybe these steps were further indications that something major was brewing. After all, both nations enjoy healthy security relations with the US. In June 2024, the US and Ecuador signed a memorandum of understanding to strengthen security sector capabilities and define shared objectives for security cooperation. The US has subsequently provided significant material support to Ecuador, including a C-130H Hercules aircraft, trucks, boat motors, technology equipment, and training, as well as a comprehensive aid package valued at approximately $93.4 million. There's an Office of Security Cooperation at the US Embassy in the Ecuadorian capital Quito, and the nations cooperate on counter-narcotics and counter-transnational organized crime capacity building assistance. Similarly, the US and Paraguay signed a security-related MOU in August 2025. This document was ostensibly related to the examination of protection requests and the prevention of illegal and irregular migration, viewed by both nations as a national security threat. However, it underscores decades of security cooperation, including in the areas of counter-narcotics and counter-transnational organized crime. The announcements of the terrorist designation for the Cartel of the Suns reflect the growing political rift on the continent. Earlier in August, no doubt cognizant of the growing pressure on him, Maduro had proposed that Venezuela and Colombia coordinate joint efforts against drug trafficking, including possible collaboration between the armed forces of both countries. On August 12th, Colombian President Gustavo Petro publicly endorsed the idea. Nicolas Maduro has not spoken about uniting the armies, but about coordinating them to end drug trafficking in the border area, and that is beneficial for both nations and has yielded significant results. My order given is to coordinate intelligence for the fight against drug trafficking with the US, Europe, Latin America, and the Caribbean, with China and the Arab world, and with the entire world. And I have given instructions that above political differences, the armies of Latin America should coordinate with priority. The evidence suggests that Ecuador, Paraguay, and the US do not find these statements to be particularly credible or reassuring. Maduro, for his part, has consistently denied the allegations against him, as have other Venezuelan leaders also accused of being Cartel of the Sun's leaders. He paints the allegations against his regime as a regime change operation, denies the existence of the Cartel of the Suns, and insists that the drug smuggling charges are a witch hunt devoid of substance. In an interview on August 27th, he spelled out his position. Who produces cocaine? Colombia. How is it exported? 87% through Colombia's Pacific region and Ecuador. Where does the money from cocaine sales go? We're talking about thousands, millions of dollars. Cocaine ends up in the US. Who buys it there? And where's the money from purchases and resales? In which banks? Let them wage the war they want at home, in the United States, against their own mafia that controls the entire drug business in Colombia, Central America, and beyond. It's the US mafia that controls it, and they know it all too well. But they've changed the narrative. During the Soviet era, those they wanted to destroy were accused of communism. Later, they accused them of terrorism. Wars were fought in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. Now there's a new, crude, absurd accusation: drug trafficking. So I say Venezuela is a clean, drug-free territory. Our people, our state, our Bolivarian National Army, it's a clean, free state. To be fair, he may have a point about the need to crack down on the US end of the drug smuggling operation. In 2018, over 200 tons of cocaine was smuggled into the US from Venezuela, having crossed the border from Colombia, worth around $10 million. But that quantity of pure Colombian cocaine, when cut and distributed, could fetch tens of billions of dollars on the streets of the US, according to an estimate by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. That leaves a rather large number needing to be laundered through the US financial system every year, and Maduro is probably right that the rot stretches into some uncomfortably lofty places. However, the notion that Venezuela is a clean, drug-free territory is, on the face of it, well short of credible. You don't have to take our word for it. Venezuela's official pronouncements speak for themselves. In October 2021, the Venezuelan Ministry of the Interior issued an ordinary-looking statement about an anti-narcotics operation in the state of Zulia that perhaps revealed more than it intended. The military had destroyed 8 cocaine laboratories, seizing nearly half a ton of cocaine and nearly 10 tons of coca paste in the process. The argument that Venezuela is a drug-free nation falls on its face right there. However, the statement also revealed that 32 hectares of coca crops have been eradicated, destroying over 300,000 plants in the process. In other words,